Darth Vader. Not only is he one of the most iconic villains in all of cinema, but the Dark Lord of the Sith also had plenty of video game appearances. And so, in this video, in honor of the late James Earl Jones, we're going to take a look at Vader's best appearances in video games. Let's start with a fan favorite, 2005 Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, technically Vader was in the original Battlefront, but he wasn't playable and had the appearance of a black bin bag. Battlefront 2 let you play as your favorite heroes and villains, and Vader was a fan favorite. Look at him just marching into Echo Base. That's some "you kids better be in bed when I get up there" energy. In addition to chopping up enemies, he could also throw his lightsaber, do the sonic dash, and pretty much fly in short bursts. This is the only Star Wars game where Vader can actually ride the Tauntaun. Imagine you're a rebel in the trenches and you just peek out to see Vader riding into battle on one of these. Oh no, he tripped. What was the point of doing a full-on invasion if you could just have Vader fly over to the shield generator and single-handedly blow it up? On the Endor moon, we also got the showdown we've all been waiting for, Vader versus Ewoks. Oh my god, the Ewok actually did it! And of course, you could also play as Vader during the assault mode where he chops down all the hero characters like Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and his own daughter. Okay, this next game was also released in 2005, and of course I'm talking about the one and only Revenge of the Sith. Now yes, most of this game has you play as a very moody Anakin.
Is that the best you've got?
But there is also a one-on-one combat mode where you can play as Vader in the armor.
I'll show you the true power of the dark side.
This was always a really fun mode for when you had friends over. Vader has all of his signature moves, including the Force Choke.
Now I am the master.
However, this is the only time I can think of where Vader actually uses Force Lightning. Also, I like how if the other player selects Old Ben, the two of them will just talk shit to each other the entire fight.
I'll see you on the other side.
And speaking of fighting games, Vader was also featured in Masters of Terraskazi, a PlayStation game that saw all your favorite Star Wars characters settle their differences the old-fashioned way, by throwing hands. Who can forget Leia kicking Han in the power couplings? Or that one time a generic Gamorrean guard tracked Luke down to Dagobah. Naturally, Darth Vader is both the game's final boss and a playable character. But what makes this appearance stand out is his arsenal of moves, like a swift kick to the face, a knee to the groin, and a good old slide tackle. Even Vader's lightsaber can be used in an unorthodox way, as he smacks his opponents with the pummel. Now, from one 90s game to another, Vader would also make a famous appearance in 1998's Star Wars Arcade. Most of this game has you piloting a famous vehicle during one of the iconic original trilogy battles. However, there is an intermission of sorts between the two Endor stages. This one is set in first-person view and has you control Luke as he takes on his father on board Death Star 2. I remember when I first played this at Brighton Pier Arcade, I thought graphics would never get better than this. It felt like I was in Return of the Jedi, and I was getting my ass kicked because I could never beat this section as a kid. It was something about the inverted lightsaber controls that I could never really get used to. And speaking of immersive experiences, in 2019 the Dark Lord of the Sith would have his first VR outing in Vader Immortal. This trilogy put you in control of a nameless protagonist as you explore Vader's castle on Mustafar and learn about the Sith Lord's sinister plans. Over the course of the story, the player is taught to use the Force and wield a lightsaber, all while interacting closely with Vader himself. What made Vader Immortal unique is how menacing the game made him seem through the use of VR. Look at the way he just towers over you.
You may wonder why I have brought you here.
To be fair, he is very patient in this game. Look at him just stand there while I mess with all of his buttons. If you have access to a VR headset and a few hours to spare, then I would definitely recommend this, as it's one of the lesser known Star Wars games. But the same can't be said about this next entry, which was the fastest selling Star Wars game of its time. Of course, I'm talking about The Force Unleashed, a game that poses the question, what if Vader had a secret apprentice? There are so many amazing Vader moments in this game. Right from the start, you get to play as the Sith Lord during the invasion of Kashyyyk.
I have no interest in your failures, Commander. I am here on a mission of my own.
The game uses Vader to demonstrate its over-the-top approach to Force powers as he Kamehamehas a giant wall and chucks Wookiees into the abyss. The level ends with Vader hunting down the rogue Jedi and taking on his son as a secret apprentice.
You were weak when I found you. Now your hatred has become your strength.
Vader then outsources his work to Starkiller, getting him to hunt down the remaining Jedi in hiding. Unfortunately, Vader's own boss catches onto this and the Dark Lord has to let the apprentice go, which begins Galen's journey to joining the rebellion. And you can tell the developers were having a great time writing Vader's dialogue and scenes. He really feels like a menacing, manipulative villain in this game.
You agreed to stay away!
I lied, as I have from the very beginning.
But perhaps the standout Vader moment in The Force Unleashed is his final confrontation with Starkiller at the end. This battle, which is straight out of a shonen anime, sees the Dark Lord take an absolute beating. Now, some players have criticized this battle for Vader getting his ass kicked just a bit too much, but it did give us this incredibly cool looking battle-damaged version of Vader. And speaking of battle-damaged, while it's not as extreme as The Force Unleashed, I think Vader's confrontation with Seer in Jedi Survivor also deserves a mention. This battle is much smaller in scope and slower in pace. However, unlike The Force Unleashed, the purpose of this battle is to paint Vader as an unstoppable, relentless force. You feel the weight of his every strike, and the claustrophobic burning environment around them makes Vader feel like some kind of a demonic creature from hell. Okay, let's change gears for a moment and talk about video game appearances that painted the Dark Lord in a less serious light. For example, Super Bombat Racing was a kart racing game based around Episode 1. However, Darth Vader was an unlockable character, complete with his advanced TIE fighter.
The dark side is powerful.
My favorite part is the way he screams whenever he falls off the edge. So that's where George got it from. Also, who can forget Disco Vader grooving it on the dance floor with the rest of the characters in the intro for Rogue Squadron 3. And of course, no Vader list would be complete without mentioning his appearance in the LEGO Star Wars games. The particular standout one to me is the way LEGO Vader got around telling Luke that he was his father without any dialogue. And so we come to the final entry, the one I think is the best Vader moment in any video game. And you've probably already guessed it, it's the confrontation at the end of Jedi Fallen Order. This is by far the most terrifying and exhilarating moment in the entire game. After spending hours battling stormtroopers and inquisitors, the final moment of the game takes a dramatic turn when Vader himself appears. The sheer presence of the Sith Lord immediately shifts the tone from triumph to survival as the player realizes they are facing an unstoppable force. Unlike other boss encounters throughout the game, Darth Vader is not meant to be defeated. He is a looming embodiment of terror, wielding overwhelming strength and unlimited power. The developers always make sure to try and frame Vader from the bottom up, to emphasize his size and prowess. Vader effortlessly dismantles both Cal and his allies. He toys with Cal, throwing him around with the Force and rendering everything he learned over the span of the entire story absolutely useless. This imbalance of power creates a unique dynamic in the gameplay as the player quickly realizes the goal isn't to fight Vader but to escape him at all costs. What makes this encounter extra terrifying is the sense of inevitability. Throughout the chase, you feel utterly powerless. Every move Vader makes is deliberate, calculated, and devastating. His calm, menacing voice paired with his relentless pursuit gives the impression that no matter how fast you run or how well you fight, there is no escape. Whilst most other games of this genre would emphasize the hero's triumphant defeat over the final boss, Fallen Order flips the script, making the player feel small and insignificant in the face of Vader's immense power. The sequence is a masterclass in suspense, evoking both fear and adrenaline in equal measures, leaving the player with a lasting impression of Vader's overwhelming might, which is why I believe this is the best Vader moment in any video game. But that's just my take. Please let me know your favorite Vader moments in video games and if there are any that I missed in this video. Also, please let me know if you'd like to see me do a similar video for any other characters in Star Wars and beyond. As always, thanks for watching. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and a huge thanks to my existing patrons. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.